Alright guys, I don't know if I really talked about this show on my channel, and if I haven't, forgive me. Now there was for a time, like I said, Cartoon Network was in a slump at a period, and they really didn't have nothing for me, even and if they did, it was Young Justice, Green Lantern, and that was about it, nothing else. I didn't watch Adventure Time. I was not in love with regular show. I think I was kind of still PO with the Network with their live action. And the Hub came around, and I said, okay, give the Hub a chance. The Hub was doing some good shit back in the day. And guess what? Ever since the Hub kind of closed house, the Hub is now irrelevant. No one watches it. No one talks about it. Transform Prime ended, and then we got the Transformers Robots in Disguise, which the name has already been used. So, I mean, like, the Hub has some hidden gems, and the Hub was going to get some new material, but there was that one show that the Hub did that, to me, like you probably say G.I. Joe, not Renegades, or it was Dan Versus. Dan Versus is one of these shows that when it first came out, or when I first heard about it, I said, this is probably the stupidest shit I ever heard. It is one of the most outrageous, hilarious shows out there. Like, this is a show that Cartoon Network would have done back in the late 90s. This is a show I think Nickelodeon would have done in the late 90s. This show is something that Disney would never do, because in the late 90s, all they cared about was live action pretty girls. But this is a show that Nickelodeon Cartoon Network back in the day would have done. I adore this show. This show, it was about Dan, and it's him versus the world. It was him versus a tree, a bear, a bat, a raccoon, a sponge. Anything this man took on, it was versus. Dan versus. And then he'll go in, curse you, house, Dan versus the house, which was a cool little concept. And then he had his his friend who was married to this extra spy. It was probably one of those cool things I saw. Like, literally, it was probably one of the best things I saw in probably a long time, dude. And there were moments where it got real creative and they did some things where he had him took on aliens, and then they had him took on the government. They had him took on the president. I think one time they got real creative, especially later on in the seasons. Now you'll probably say to yourself, now Johnson, did you ship Dan and Annalise? I did. I shipped Dan and Annalise. I know Annalise was with her husband, but I didn't give two fucks about him. I really like Dan and Annalise, because when they worked together, or when they had their back and forth banter, I said, you know what, y'all two will make probably a good couple. And I was always hoping the writers will always do something where they lose their memory, or do something where they can get together, because I always wanted these two to get together. And Annalise, if you look back in the show, she was kind of thick. She could get the vitamins. Annalise was kind of thick. She could get the vitamins. But yeah, I love the banter. I love the dialogue between, like, the show. It was a hidden gem. It was a very hidden gem that a lot of people didn't know about. And, some people still don't know about it. It's one of those shows like Generator Rex that I try to do reviews of these shows that you haven't seen, because these shows are very good. Like, for example, I did a Men in Black review, and someone told me, oh, I didn't know there was a Men in Black review, which I have to comment back on them. They're coming back and told me, yeah, it's very good. It's better than the two movies. It really goes in, like, Men in Black really goes into the mythology of the aliens, where they come from, why they're there, compared to the movies, where they don't have all that time to go through that, et cetera, et cetera. Same with the Ghostbusters animated series. I say my favorite was Extreme Ghostbusters, because 90s kid. But back to this though, Dan Versus. Dan Versus is probably one of those shows that, if you look at it, you say this is the stupidest thing on the planet. But when you actually sit down, maybe watch about 2 or 3 episodes, you can't stop watching. It's that good. Like, those are the type of shows that I think kids would like today. Because even though it's not an overarching story, it's not, like, stupid enough, it's not insulting or intelligent. Dan versus never sold your intelligence. It was always a show that was witty, smart, and was ahead. It knew, like, you didn't know what was going to happen next because you could never predict it. Similar to how predicted, you could always say, okay, Dan took on this goddamn microwave last episode, so he's going to take on a tree this episode. He comes out taking on a damn burger. Because you could never predict that. And then it was just a smart way to handle that, where it didn't have to be overarching story, but it was smart enough and mature enough that even adults and even kids liked. And it's one of those shows, like I said, it's a hidden gem. It's one of those cartoons that it should have got more recognition. And then again, you could tell the only show that got the most recognition was Transformers Prime, but it got recognition for the right reasons. But Dan versus didn't, and same with G.I. Joe Renegades. And it sucked too. Funny enough, the person who ran Cartoon Network, ran the hub, I think she ran Fox Kids, I believe. Yeah, she ran Fox Kids. And you could tell, like, the way the hub was run is kind of remind me of Fox Kids. She got all the shows from the 90s, and the hub was a cool place. I actually did enjoy the hub for a bit. When it closed house, I was kind of upset, but hey, it is what it is on that. You can't really hate that. So, but as always, guys, like and subscribe. Have a Johnson day. And if you have seen Dan versus, comment below, let me know. Dan versus the world. Thank you for coming again to Teen Titans Go. And have a Johnson D.